Romantasy, you've probably heard of it, but what is it? It is not as simple as saying it's romantic fantasy or fantasy romance. So what's the difference? I'm going to teach you a very simple publishing formula. Let's take paranormal romance. Paranormal describes the romance. The romance matters more. Look at Twilight. Bella and Edward's relationship matters more than if Bella becomes a vampire. That's why we call it a paranormal romance. So, if we use that formula for fantasy and romance, a fantasy romance is a romance with fantasy elements versus a romantic fantasy is a fantasy that is romantic. This is a subtle difference, but it's really important because a romance novel has to have a happily ever after, whereas a fantasy novel could have like a bittersweet ending or even a really scary ending. And a romantasy, therefore, is a combination of fantasy and romance equally. Romance nor fantasy is a subplot. They both are equal weight. And that is really difficult to do. That's why it's important that you read the romantasy that's coming out and that you pay attention to how these subgenres are all developing. Subscribe for more writing tips.